Aw, button gone?
I don't know where it's at. We
We
couldn't
might
find
need
it.
that button today. Yeah, we might need the button.
You look
today.
at me. I don't know. Caesar may have been gnawing on it. I don't know.
Welcome to the F Movie Podcast. We don't have our button. Don't worry about it. I'm your host, Dylan Camacho. Today with me, I got Nathan, Mason, and Price. Figure out what order. And today, there's no button. I'm missing it, guys. I'm sorry.
It's a sad day.
Gangs of San Francisco. What city?
Tokyo.
Are we in? Gangs of.
I'm not helping you.
Gangs in New York, guys. We're talking about Gangs in New York. Martin Scorsese's long movie about a movie. Movie about a movie. You heard it here first.
Alright.
Interesting.
Hot take.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a fresh perspective.
That's some fresh meat. Yeah, if you watch the movie, you get that reference. There we go. Butcher?
Yeah.
Nathan, lead the way, buddy. What's this movie about?
This is about Leonardo DiCaprio from childhood to his young adult life, seeking revenge for his father.
Brilliant.
The priest.
Yeah.
The priest.
Yeah.
This is about New York in what time period?
It was the
18s.
potato famine, so about 1860
Yeah.
something.
They were getting signed up for the Civil War.
There's the Civil War going on. There's a lot of immigration from Ireland. It's the story of New York and the gangs of New York. One gang being the natives, and the other being, for the most part, the Irish is what the
Dead Rabbits.
The Dead Rabbits. The Dead Rabbits are the gang that the father of Leonardo DiCaprio ran. Near the beginning of it, they are defeated by the natives, and it is said that that name can never be spoken again. Proceed to 17 years later, I think is what the time skip is. So Leonardo lives. He is locked away in this kind of reform school,
Like a juvenile
detention
jail
thing.
thingy? Yeah, they never really give a lot of
Yeah.
details on that.
So he comes out, and right off the bat, he wants to kill the man who killed his father, and proceeds to get in good with him and basically try and sneak into his good graces to take him down at what he views as the most opportune moment, the most poetically justice-y kind of moment. He even at one point saves him from being killed by somebody else because he wants to kill him. And yeah, it just kind of goes on from there. He ends up reforming the Dead Rabbits, and and at the end of it, he does end up being ultimately victorious, kind of. You kind of see like the end of an era at the end of this, as the army pretty much destroys a big section of New York.
Yeah.
Destroys New York.
Right. They just Godzilla New York and just say,
They-
alright,
they
I'm done with this part of
literally
you now.
Bombard it from ships.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just shoot a lot of cannonballs, and I guess that's the solution.
Yeah.
But,
Some would call it the final solution.
It was some kind of solution. It definitely it kind of takes you by surprise that that's how this ends, because it has such a build up to there being basically another fight like what happened in the beginning of it between the Dead Rabbits and the natives again. But then they all get blown to pieces by cannonballs. So yeah, there's a lot in this movie. It's a very long movie.
Yeah, it's a meaty.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about like the love interest or anything like that yet, but we'll get into all this.
Right.
Yeah, this movie, I had never seen it before, and it was very vivid, the color and the costumes and the outfits that they wear, just because, like, I don't know, I guess that they don't really tell you what year it is at the very... I guess they do, don't they?
I mean, the fact that it's all centered around like the slaves being
around
during that year,
It's during the Civil War.
Right.
It makes you wonder as soon as it sort of intros with all of these different outfits that they're wearing, like, just where in the hell are they supposed to be? You don't think it's in New York for one.
It doesn't. It feels like it's much older because
Much
it
older.
opens with a battle where they are just using like improvised
weird
weaponry,
shanks
like
and
that.
knives
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
a cross, like
That's sharpened on the edges.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, and you got the girl who's like filed her teeth down to fangs
Right.
Has
and
those
like
claws.
has claws and is jumping around on people.
And it was cool. Like,
I'm upset we didn't see more of her. Honestly,
I do think that the very beginning of that fight scene was perfect in the snow. It's laid out really well, where there's just a ton of snow on the ground, and then you see that red, just the blood everywhere. I thought that was one of the coolest parts of the whole movie. A little unrealistic, obviously, just because of all the weapons and like.
Oh yeah.
It's just like the ugliest looking circumstances in the world, and then they all just kind of charge at each other. But I guess it's just how it used to be,
Right.
in some places.
When you're just a gang and there's another big
And there's
gang.
another gang.
And there's a playground. You're
And
just
there's a
gonna
lot
have
of-
recess,
and
man.
there's a lot of
Like-
snow.
So,
You're gonna
I thought
Right.
Bryce might appreciate the fact that one of the stepbrothers.
Oh, yeah.
John C.
Yeah.
Riley's in there.
I
Yeah.
had to do a double take for him.
I was fine with him being in it. I've seen him
Yeah.
in serious roles too,
Yeah.
and I mean he does well. Like he
Yeah.
can like
It couldn't have been Will Ferrell.
Wait, it
Like-
wasn't Will Ferrell?
yeah.
Yeah.
It couldn't.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
John-
it's easy to confuse.
Yeah, they're a
Right.
lot alike.
Well,
Brandon.
But yeah.
very similar.
Uh-huh.
But my main problem with the movie, because I watched this movie, well, actually, this is my second problem with it. The first is that I watched this about a month ago, and then I rewatched it this time. I was playing Runeterra while I was playing it. Not gonna lie. So like I was kind of not paying as much attention, but I saw it literally like just a month ago.
Yeah.
And the thing that got me both times is that I never felt the shift between like Leo and Daniel Day-Lewis hating each other. Because it seemed like it happened at the exact same moment for both people. Like Daniel Day-Lewis knew he's trying to kill me now, and Leo's like I'm going to try to kill you now, and they knew it at the exact same
Was
moment.
that the guy, like,
That was
William
William
the Butcher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis? was?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
the main guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the guy who carries the
Yeah,
movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was Gary
He's
Oldman
incredible.
for some reason.
Yeah, he does very well.
D-Lou.
I loved him. He was definitely the highlight of the movie.
I do
for me.
get what you're saying, where you don't they establish early on that Leo wants to kill him
Mhm.
and is coordinating with the Chinese but it establishes that, and then for such a long time
He was like his
he
right-hand
is
man.
his
Right.
right hand man, gets in so good with him.
Yeah.
Like Daniel Day-Lewis almost becomes this adoptive father character
Oh
to him
yeah,
for a while. and-
he wanted to let Leo inherit
Right.
his empire.
I mean, he banged Cameron Diaz, who was previously banging Daniel Day-Lewis for a while. They're laying in bed together, and Daniel Day-Lewis is just looking over him like, yeah,
Yeah, couldn't sleep.
good job.
There's somewhere in the American,
American
flag.
flag.
Yeah, like who just wears that? There's so many random quirky things. Yeah, Day-Lewis's character, I mean, yeah, is very much. If he's on scene, I'm into this movie.
Yeah.
When he's not on scene, I'm kind of drifting from the movie. I won't lie. Even with Leo's parts, Leo parts are good, but
This is not his best movie.
This isn't.
him.
yeah,
But it's a good movie. It's just
I
not the Leo movie.
I think we've picked a lot of those movies though, where it really
A lot of
wasn't-
them, it
like
doesn't-
Once Upon a Time in
yeah.
Hollywood, you could sit there and be like, oh well, he was Brad
Pitt is
was really
more-
good in
more
Once
absorbing.
Upon a Time. It's
Yeah.
like
I
Leonardo
think Leo-
DiCaprio
no.
being in all of these big name titles, especially the last few. Inception. Inception was probably his biggest one in all of this.
Yeah, but
Oh,
even still,
yeah.
it's a big ensemble flick, so it's not
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
there's
have
not
so
really a
many-
strictly Leo movie because we
Yeah.
even Gatsby is just as much, honestly, more Tobey Maguire.
It wasn't Titanic.
Yeah.
Titanic
No,
was
yeah.
basically him and
red haired girl, whatever her name
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one you have to hand it to Daniel Day-Lewis because he
man.
is incredible. Even Cameron Diaz in this movie kind of steals it from a couple scenes.
Cameron Diaz
She
does
did.
take it for a while.
I agree. She
Yeah.
seems really she's trying to be something she's not, and she's really actually vicious underneath. I like that. I liked her.
Mm-hmm. I would say all things considered, she actually has a really good kind of character arc there for a little while, and then you kind of see that back and forth where she's just jealous and fickle, but also playing the game. And her character was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that going into this movie, the one thing, it's the silliest thing that bothers me, is that stupid little tune at the beginning of the movie.
You don't like that?
I don't like it.
I liked it.
And because I didn't like
And
it,
it comes
and
back
it just
up.
keeps jabbing me with
'Cause
it
it's
throughout the movie.
There's every time he meets one of the people that he saw in that intro,
Yeah, that little
it
whistle
flashes
tune.
back to it with that music playing.
Right.
So yeah,
And it was
just
about
goes
4 or
back
5
every
times,
time.
like,
oh yeah.
Yeah,
At least.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. So there was multiple
I-
times I'm just getting that jabbed in my face, and I remember thinking, I'm like, this movie could be shorter. That was my very first
In case
thought.
you were wondering,
The second
what
or-
part to cut.
Yep, the second or third time it came on, I'm like, this could be shorter too. Like, yeah.
It makes me think in Kill Bill how like when she would see somebody she knew and it does that.
Yeah.
Like,
See, I'm with Nathan on that one. I love that one. That's
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys can't say shit.
Yeah.
Because he does that
I'll
all the
say
time.
too though, I like the flashbacks in this. I like the music coming back. Like I like that this movie constantly is like pulling you back to like remember the beginning. It's all about the beginning. Like
Yeah.
and it's going to come
Foreshadow.
around full
Right.
circle
Yeah.
to the beginning again.
Narratively.
And then
yeah.
it surprises you because you fully expect that it's gonna come right back around to how it started, and then it doesn't.
And then boom,
Then
cannons.
cannons.
Yeah.
Then cannons.
I think narratively it fits really well where they're constantly having homage because again, like all of Leo's character is set, like his mindset's in the past. The only thing, like you kind of get the illusion that he's gonna evolve into be like
Yeah, like you
his new
for
son.
a little bit, you feel like he might actually just like go with what's
Yeah.
happening. Like it, especially whenever he finally like saves his life and everything
Mhm.
too.
He could have anything that he wanted at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have took over, been the new
Yeah.
butcher, now would have been that. But then the movie's like, movie's got a movie.
Yeah.
Which again is hasn't really been addressed. Is that I still didn't feel that shift in his character from like going back to wanting to hate the butcher and then
So, but
He-
you
I-
did you feel like there was a shift where he did decide that he genuinely liked the guy?
I don't think he ever genuinely liked the guy. I just think it seemed more to me that he was complacent about where he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Like
which
he
is
was just
fine.
getting
Right
comfortable with
after-
the life that he was finding.
Right
himself
after
in.
he saved his life in that theater, like he broke down, like he went to that stairwell
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
like wept
Yeah.
or wept because of it. And like I guess you kind of saw then, and I didn't realize it, but it was because he wanted to kill him himself.
Yeah.
So that's probably why he was,
Yeah.
You know, now there's one scene that I think back looking back on where I kind of feel that, like, ironically, it's past the point where their whole divorce kind of happens. Whenever they're getting the gangs for that meeting of the rules, like how the whole fight's supposed to go down.
Yeah.
Then he asks me, he's like, all right, well, what weapons? And then they're like, oh, daggers, knives, blah, blah,
Pistols?
blah. The pistols? And he's like, no, we're doing this old fat, or whatever he says. And he's just like, that's my boy. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that he has that moment, like, I think so much as one Leo kind of showing that respect piece as well, but, you know, partially because he wants to just get his hands dirty, I think.
Yeah.
But even that little moment, I felt like he was kind of paying that nod to, like, the old class. Like, he's like, oh, here's my nod of respect. I hate you. I want to kill you. But I think
We're
he
gonna
at
do it
least
your
gets,
way.
he still gets that respect, though. And that's, I
It's
think,
all about the
transition.
respect.
Yeah, it
So-
is. It's about
Another point that I want to bring up too is since we just recently watched The Departed,
Mhm.
this is another movie where Leo is undercover in a gang.
And it's Scorsese as well.
And it's Scorsese.
Scorsese, you typecasted old bastard.
If we're trying to, compare apples to apples here, I think The Departed is a much deeper movie, but this movie is more fun. Like-
oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'd give you that.
Yeah.
Like this
I
movie,
agree.
you can enjoy like looking at, but The Departed is a little bit more. It's not even a big brain movie.
It's a little
just
more wacky.
yeah, it's just
It is.
like
Yeah.
like if you want to see
A
a ton
big brain
more,
movie?
Yeah, no joke.
Do we want
Like,
to talk about
no.
the
The
boxes?
Departed, if you want a better cast, if you
Shrink my
want
brain
a
down.
better story, you go to Departed. If
Right.
you want better visuals and a more fun story, you go to Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
And it's literally the two opposite sides of the table.
Yeah.
Because
and-
I'm The Departed and he's very much Gangs of New York.
I liked Inception.
yeah.
I think a timeline
yeah,
wise.
I
Gatsby
very
is
much
older.
enjoyed this movie. I love the visuals. I love the time. This movie does a lot of good things with creating a world that I very much enjoyed being in.
When I was
Their
watching
hats
it,
got taller and taller, by the way.
when I was watching it, the beginning part where like it pans around, it shows everybody moving around in the dead rabbit's place. I was like, Nathan's gonna love this movie from here on out. It's his
This is
movie.
Mad Max.
Yeah, exactly. It just has that.
It looked like
Oh,
Mad
yeah.
Max until we
Yeah.
got to the
Yeah.
street, and I was like, "Oh, it is the 1700s." Like,
You know,
it looks really, really early.
You could
Yeah.
mistake 1700 New York for like post-apocalypse New
Yeah.
York, and I'm just
Yep.
like, I think that's Nathan's headcanon. He's just like, nope, this isn't the revolution. This is like, this is just
level
repeating history,
playground.
right? Yeah, I want to go back to Daniel Day-Lewis' performance and stuff for a little bit while though too, just because I think
It was good.
It's good. Like, so here's my big thought: is that it's not really a big thought. This is a pretty simple thought.
Big thought.
Daniel Day-Lewis, I mean, is just a very magnetic person in that, like,
Mhm.
in his movies, like he's stellar. There's no rookie critics or otherwise would say otherwise. Like, he's just very, very good.
Controversial opinion.
Yeah, hot take, guys. I think Daniel Day-Lewis is a pretty talented actor. So, but no, it was almost jarring how good he was in comparison to everybody else. Because this cast isn't sloppy with that
Agreed.
though.
Mhm.
Like Daniel Day-Lewis' character is way up here in the more interesting side of things, and I guess the closest thing we have is Leo and Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, they're next level down.
Right, and then you got like John C. Reilly, and then just
That
other
bald guy, which I think did really well. I just couldn't tell you his name.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Mr. something.
The guy who got shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who got shot.
Oh,
To
I mean, no,
me-
he got hit with it. He got the axe treatment, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got something. It
The
was
guy who
bad.
became the sheriff or whatever, and Daniel Day-Lewis is like, I'm not about you. And
Yeah,
then
he
went-
like throws the butcher
guy.
cleaver
Yeah, the
into
cleaver
his
into his
back,
back,
and
and
then
then
takes his
the-
like shillelagh,
Just nailed.
puts a notch in it.
his what now?
Shillelagh. It's a Irish beating weapon. I know
Yeah.
it because I watch wrestling.
How do you know what that is?
It's
Have you never
it's
heard
a,
that
No!
word?
it's a
Oh,
wooden
wow.
Irish beating stick,
Yeah.
essentially. It's the thing that
Okay.
he has.
That is a
Club?
word that is not
Shillelagh,
duplicated.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Google shillelagh.
That's
I
a
can
shillelagh.
guarantee you I'll go up to 20 people and ask, do you know what a shillelagh is? I'll be surprised if half a person
I
knows
thought
what it
you
is.
watched wrestling.
okay.
Not when they're using shillelaghs.
Oh yeah, there was an Irish guy. Well, I'm not gonna get into
It's
that.
like,
yeah.
yeah, The Rock, give them the people's elbow.
I feel like Daniel Day-Lewis's command of the scene
Mhm.
is similar to
Nicholson in Departed, or
Nicholson in
Yeah.
Departed, in the sense that his character was meant to command the scene because
Right.
his character was the menacing threat
Mhm.
in any room. Like, he was the biggest thing that everybody was paying attention to, because you could be playing cards with him and he'll just stab you in the hand and just leave you stuck to the table until you decide that you're going to continue to participate in the game.
right. And you
Yeah.
just gotta take it too. Like
Yeah,
it's
like-
that level of it.
Mhm.
I think my only, I'm not upset that like he's a tier above because he is the most interesting part of this whole movie, like hands down.
Easily.
But there is something to be said that after just watching The Departed, where I'm just like, he's just the Jack Nicholson of this movie. I'm like, isn't this just the
Yeah.
Scorsese? Did you just make me watch the same movie
It
twice?
really-
Like,
yeah, it has a ton of similarities, but
Yeah.
you have to remember, like, they are two totally separate films.
right.
Fun, more visual,
Uh-huh.
stronger cast, and better storyline.
You know-
There's two separate,
So here's a fun thought that's not really related to like this movie, but if I could, I want to take Mark Wahlberg's character from The Departed and put him into Gangs of New York.
You cannot cross these over no matter which
I
way.
wanted to cross over, be like his great grandfather, and he's just like the sheriff, which just pipes off.
Great-great-grandfather.
Same dialogue and everything. I don't want a
Yeah.
thing to change about Mark Wahlberg
Yeah.
on that, and that fits a little bit better for me. But anyway,
I get that I'm biased on this, because again, at different ends of the table, but I still feel like Departed has such a stronger supporting cast around the main guy, I guess. Like Daniel Day-Lewis carries this movie, and Leo and Cameron Diaz do decent, I guess. Nothing like extraordinary, but I feel like everybody in The Departed is doing extremely well
They
in
all
whatever
had their
situation
part.
they're placed
Yeah.
in. Yeah, I know it's a different discussion,
Yeah.
but if we're comparing the two, because they're very similarly structured.
They kind of are, yeah.
yeah,
I would
I wouldn't
say
fault the Gangs of New York for that though, because there is just a plethora of more characters though. Like, I guess you could
There's a
make the
much
argument.
bigger world.
Yeah, you
too.
can make the argument that they're like, well, every gang member could equally be a police officer, and I'm like, yeah, I suppose that's kind of true, but like
Yeah.
they kind of developed this sheriff part a little bit more. They developed the barber guy a little
They
bit
had
more.
3 hours to develop the people. They had plenty
Listen,
of time.
I'm not saying that they
Plenty.
could. I'm not
You
saying
were
that they
talking
didn't
about 3
use that
hours. The
time effectively.
Irishman was 3 hours and 32 minutes.
Oh, we're
or
not.
whatever.
We're not
We're
talking
not jumping into
Irishman.
that movie.
Martin
Yeah.
Scorsese, I'm looking at you.
I'm vetoing that movie if it comes up for
Same.
talks. But anyway,
Yeah.
we kind of gone over our pros cons. So we move on to the next segment.
Yeah, I think
All
so.
right, next segment: fat, thick, perfectly fit.
Who can yell fat the loudest?
That's it. The guys won't let me elaborate on it. Watch
You
our
guys
older
know
videos.
everything about this segment. You guys know what
First
we
time
do.
viewers, if you haven't seen this one, fat movie runs too long, thin movie runs not long enough, maybe put more on there. Perfectly fit, runtime matches exactly. It feels perfectly fit.
Fat is kind of like that description you just heard.
Yeah.
That's what we're kind of
Unnecessary,
There
if
we
you
go.
will.
I will call this movie fit.
Boo!
I enjoyed every bit of it.
This movie's thin as hell. Get
I
out
want
of here.
more. Give me more. I want to
And
know what
we're
happened
actually-
to the girl with the teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Give me her spin-off. One hour of her.
You got it. It's a Wolverine. No, Logan. This is
Yeah.
the little girl
Yeah,
from
Daphne
Logan.
Keenan and
Yeah.
Logan.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call this movie fit as well. I do think that while I was watching this movie, I heard. No, here's the thing. I heard about this movie being so long, and you're just gonna have to sit through it and blah blah blah. I did not care. I mean, I was enjoying it all the way through.
Oh, I enjoy every bit of this
I mean,
movie.
like I said, the top hats kept getting bigger. The colors got
The table is
brighter.
now split.
Yeah, you're right.
How did I end up on
Here
Price
and
is
over.
Right?
Yeah!
If somebody had made this bet early on, I would have lost.
If you haven't seen this movie yet, it is long. But if it interests you enough towards the beginning, and I think it hooks you very, very well, I don't think you want to cut very many parts because, if anything, I'm going to cut a little bit of Cameron Diaz because there were times where I absolutely hated her, but there was equally, if not more, times that I loved.
What
her
about the
character.
violent makeout sessions that they
That
always
was
had?
silly.
Where
And then they were in the
attacking each other's
street.
mouths.
Yeah.
Trying to bite each
That's
other.
the thing. If
It's like,
I
I
were
will
to
bite
cut,
you.
Yeah.
it was probably Cameron Diaz, only because there's a couple of those parts that it did not have to happen.
Do we
I
want
liked
to
her
tag team?
character.
Do we want to tag team this, or you go first?
Nah, I'm gonna be a little bit more
Yes.
moderate than you will.
Tag
Okay,
team
go
more
ahead.
than-
All right, so where Mason's only want to cut the crust off this sandwich, I'm probably taking an item or two off this. I'm taking a tomato and the lettuce because
You don't like vegetables.
Yeah, we don't want
I know
vegetables.
I'm not a vegetable fan with it, so that's a very valid
That's a different argument.
description. So, all right, I agree with you on your parts. I definitely cut some of the silliness, like the silly factors with Cameron Diaz and that stuff. I keep most of everything else with Diaz. I would say we trim down a lot of the flashback stuff where I think it's relevant. I think it's unnecessary. Like it's the extraest part of the movies. It's whenever the little whistle tune.
You just don't like that.
I don't want it.
You and Christ
I just
will
wanna listen to it
dismiss
again.
a movie based on 3 minutes into it and a tune happens. You
The-
dismiss the whole movie.
The tune, not the whole movie. No, there's a lot of good.
Sorry,
you know,
that's just Bryce.
If I was gonna be a minimalist and I just cut a lot of this movie, I cut everything with Daniel Day-Lewis. I just let him have
yeah,
the movie.
no, you're right. I'm
Like,
a minimalist.
Here you go.
if I'm being super minimal, I don't even have Leo get his revenge. I just have Daniel Day-Lewis doing his day-to-day stuff, and then he gets blown up by cannons at the
Knocking
end.
people out left and
Right. That's actually, I think, my favorite version of this movie. But because we're having Leo and this is a Leo month, we'll keep Leo's parts in it and cut a lot of the expanding the extra staff part. Even though you're supposed to kind of care whenever they die, I think that it doesn't ever enhance.
That didn't land for me at all.
Leo's rationalization is like, I'm gonna kill this person, and then like they kill this person, and I'm like, well, Leo's goal is still the same. If you go back to the first moment of this movie and the last part, kill this person, and I'm like, it just wants to kill him a little more, maybe. Like is kind of what happens with these little
Yeah.
small decisions.
I like at the end when that one guy's talking to Leo while he's on the ground or something, and Leo's like, "Don't attack the cops," and he's like, "I'm going to attack the cops."
Yeah.
And then he gets shot. And it's like this real slow mo, like, "Oh, it's so sad." Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about him.
So I would say the movie's fat, by the way, just for the full little thing. Dang, this ring.
Yeah,
It's on it today. Sorry, guys.
All right, I'm saying this is so fat. This movie's so fat. I would trim like maybe like a whole hour off of the movie. It's just, it's so long. It's so long, and it doesn't earn that runtime to me at all because it's just so long. Like The Departed very much earns its runtime because there's so much more going on. There's like hidden layers. There's hidden layers to everything in The Departed. Like this person finding out who this person is. Does this person know who this person is? This movie, it's just 1.5 people, I'd say. Daniel Day-Lewis and Leo with a side helping of Cameron Diaz, which isn't that much. And
Wish we had more Cameron Diaz on.
more of her?
Yeah, more.
I think we got just enough, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we got
I think we
just
could
enough
we
or
could
a
put more
little
parts
bit
of her in
much.
different. We'd have to have. Let me put it this way: there are scenes that I would take away and scenes I would expand more. That's kind of how I would balance Diaz's times with it.
But I would seriously trim, like, if we're keeping this same cast, same story,
Yeah.
I could see a whole hour being cut off. Because
I can see that.
no one else in this movie, as I just said a second ago, like, I don't care about anybody. I care about the 3 people that I just named because that's the only people I know. John C. Reilly is adorable, but
He can go.
I don't care. He can go too.
Yeah.
I don't care about him. Just if you're gonna have a
And he
3-hour
does.
runtime, you got to care about more characters than just 3 because it's almost 3 hours long. And my
So
mind
each
just
character
turned
got
off.
1 hour. Perfect. You know what? I'm back on it. Perfectly fit.
No,
The math checks out.
You gotta build the world.
Our-
Yeah,
If
that
it's-
world.
it's
was
about
you don't
big.
need the world. You don't need that.
You need the
I don't-
games.
I
You
want
need
it.
The
It's not
challenge.
what I want. It's
Let
what
me
I
have it.
want.
It's not
Yeah.
needed.
I love world building.
In a world building where we have a movie that you want and you want more of this world and they gave it to you, Nathan's happy with it.
Was
And,
it like for me though? Whenever he had come back from Hell's Gate or whatever that juvenile detention center was,
Yeah.
his friend was sitting there telling him, oh well, these guys are the this, these guys are the this is the thieves guild, this is the don't mess with these guys though. Like I love that because like
and then you hardly ever see them again.
Though. Like,
you see the Asians a little bit
Asian
at the end.
Yeah. We didn't get enough of them.
And that's it. That's it. Everybody else, like, I know nothing
that's
about.
The whole
Well,
part of it. It's a huge
no, if you want the world
world
building, you got to care about the entire world. And they set up these people like they're important in this world. They're one of the 5 gangs.
So,
and they're not even hardly in it.
I'm more centrist on the gang part because you do get little bits and pieces of them throughout the movie, and I think that's done well. Whenever you're looking at like the crossdresser gang and they have all the little pretty women lined up, and then you get to like the cross-dressing guys there, and I'm like, okay, this would be weird if I didn't know there was a gang about this.
Yeah.
Or if there's kind of like even just a little subtle nods where you see them in the background.
It nods to them. It also gives you a reason for there to be like colorfully and interestingly dressed people about the world. Like it just fills the world a little bit more.
You know what I do cut a lot more thinking back on it though? The politician stuff. Like a lot of the politics part.
I like that Taft was in there because it's like a nod to the real world.
Taft was fine, but whenever they start showing like Taft and all of his buddies and kind of like showing that high side of the economy, which I think is like they just did too much of it.
Was it Taft?
Yeah, it was.
It was
Taft.
It was Tammany.
Tammany. Yeah. Taft was in
Taft.
1890 something.
Yeah, I'm thinking licorice or what's the candy of Taft?
Taffy.
Taffy. There
It's one of our presidents.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, that was completely wrong.
Flush all our presidents.
Like
Whatever.
the whole Tammany Hall thing.
Yeah.
That guy
Trump,
is
care.
very famously corrupt in history.
I didn't know that.
Switch sides.
Like massively
Really?
corrupt.
Well, it showed that in the movie.
All right. Anyway, do we want to get into the scores of this big whale? All right.
I've got a few things that I'll mention.
Are we starting with?
I'm starting this time.
Starting on the rail train.
All right.
We're gonna. My bet is that the scores are gonna keep going up from here. This
I'd
is gonna
say
be a
you're
bell
probably
curve.
right.
Yeah.
It'll be exponential.
Yeah.
Again, as I said earlier, this is my second time watching it within a month. And maybe it was too soon to watch it again. Possibly, but I do not ever foresee myself rewatching this movie.
Yeah.
Ever. Because I'm going to go back to watch it, and I'm not going to pick up anything that I didn't pick up on the first time. Because, again, there's not much to this movie. There's 3 characters. It's 3 hours long. I got my fill. I know exactly what's going to happen. I know everything. If I want to watch it again, it's going to be for Daniel Day-Lewis. But at the same time, I enjoyed it the first time I watched it, but I will not be watching it again. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 5. It's just there. It's average, just right in the line. Even though, again, I hate on this movie a lot because I could cut out an hour. I'd be fine with cutting out an hour of the movie. But at the same time, I still did enjoy some of the performances. The setting is pretty, even though we got too much of it. But I still was okay with my time with it. The first time. Second time, no.
Yeah.
Even though I was doing something else, no. Would never rewatch it.
So this isn't a bad movie. It's just what begins to be a good movie and then just goes on for too long, and that's honestly my biggest issues with it. Daniel Day-Lewis's performance is massively carrying in this. It's extremely magnetic, and you can't help but to enjoy all of his scenes. The problem is that there's a lot more movie besides just Daniel Day-Lewis's performances, so I'm gonna put this like at a 7.5. This isn't a movie that I'm gonna go back and rewatch, and I think that the score is honestly pretty high considering how I feel. But if I think back and I just can't not look at like Daniel Day-Lewis's scenes and just be like, I'm so enjoying this movie right now every time he's on screen.
Throwing like the cleaver up.
Yeah,
like,
just
it's gonna get a heart.
all of his showmanship stuff, all of like just the badassery behind that character is just so fun. Like and they embellish in it for like what is a healthy amount, but then they embellish in other things for too long. So I think this movie honestly starts getting at like an 8, but then it just worked its way down instead of like bad movies that work their way up because they're good.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think about it. So this is a 7.5 for me.
I cannot believe that you just landed there. So I do think that this movie and The Departed are similar. Therefore, it does get a similar score from me. Departed is an 8. I love this movie, especially on its first walkthrough or run through. So the only part that takes it away from an 8 for me and lands it at a 7.5 is the ending. The ending, I feel like Martin Scorsese wanted to get a little too cutesy with it and sit there and say, look, these people see this coming from a mile away. Maybe this is not the right thing to do. So let's let the Navy come in, I guess, and
give them something to do.
Sack this city worse than Weathering with You did.
One thing I do want to mention about that, and I wish I'd looked this up beforehand, but I'm pretty sure that's historically accurate.
Is it?
Huh.
I thought
Because I'm
this
pretty
movie might have
sure
been
there was a
fairly
draft.
true. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah, like there was a draft, and New Yorkers formed a mob and protested, and
We're just
the
losing
military actually came in and started shooting them.
The problem that I have with that, even if that
I'm
is
okay with
true, is if you have one kibble of true events along with this huge, it doesn't make up for it. It would be like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And
Yeah.
and that's not exactly the
You're
right
gonna be
answer.
okay.
Yeah, you'll be okay. But I didn't like that, honestly, Leonardo DiCaprio not only being able to kill that guy, which he didn't,
Yeah.
having that guy dead, he lived through it. Didn't Cameron Diaz, didn't they end up together?
Yeah,
At the end,
they wrap up at the
they like
end.
walked down the thing together.
Yeah, she
along with all
killed
the
that person
bodies.
at the piers during the riot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like the ending didn't completely kill it for me. It's just I wish this is one of those movies. It can end the way that you think it's gonna end. I think it's appropriate.
It didn't need to have a twist.
It's 3 hours, like Price said. But I will say on your part,
I do remember that.
on your part, what you just said, because this is the second time that you've seen it. That's how I felt about The Departed last week.
There's so much more to chew on there. There's so much
Yes,
more to
there's
chew
more
on.
story, but this is better looking. Like it's not, it one doesn't trump the other. I'm saying that it's a level playing ground.
Right.
I wouldn't want to watch this one again within the next 5 years either.
It's like
It's
your
a very
opinion,
long movie.
man.
7.5 for me. That's all I got.
I have seen this movie 3 times now.
Uh-huh.
I always enjoy it and think of it fondly. This is one of my favorite movies. I don't think I would give it quite a 10, but
Man, I almost had to use the button.
Start hitting the table.
yeah, that's what I
Right.
kept saying. Where's the
The
button?
button.
Where's the button? Maybe
Yeah.
I'll give it a 10.
Hey.
It's like, I mean, it's not perfect, and it is a little long. I don't think it's too I don't think it's too long because I don't know what I really want to take out because I do enjoy the world. I do like the nods to history. Like I know you might see that as kind of a weird flawed thing, but I rather enjoyed the fact that he did incorporate things that actually happened
They
in
mixed in
history
a little
in the
bit of-
midst of this like maybe not so true story about gang violence in New York at that time. So for me, I'm gonna go 9.5 on it
Woo!
because it's
Hell yeah.
it is one of my favorite movies. Like
I could see steam
coming
coming
off.
off. Like it was this close.
Yeah.
it was close, but it's not perfect. It's no V for Vendetta.
That's fair. I'll
I
give you
enjoyed
that.
the hell out of this movie. And
Yeah.
you tend to pick either those awesome ones or those that I'm just completely against. This one, even though it's a 7.5 for me, like it was really good, and I do hand it to The Departed because it's a little bit bolder and a little bit stronger. But
Yeah, and that's fine, and I understand that. Like this really comes down to the fact that like I'm more into the visuals of things.
Mm-hmm.
It has what
that's
you want
really-
out of those movies.
Yeah, it has what I want.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get
And
that.
yeah, so that being said, I guess it's time for us to
Go
pick
with the-
our favorites out of this Leo month. So we
I
had
never thought it would end.
Gangs of
But
New
here
York.
we are.
we had Gangs of New York, The Departed, The Great Gatsby,
And Inception.
and Inception.
Oh.
Mason's gonna be the tiebreaker here.
Uh,
We already know where we're all going.
maybe. I don't know. Nathan?
I think you're going to be mistaken.
I am going to go with Gangs of New York.
That's fair.
Inception is the close second for me, but I really like this movie a lot.
That's fair.
Okay.
Mason?
I'm so sorry. Like I've been
Wait, let's
thinking-
let him go last.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We'll go last because we're so sure where we're all landing on this one.
We are.
To nobody's
9.5, 10, 9.5.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pick The Great Gatsby.
We picked some of our favorite films for Leo. Man, Leo actually is some, and all like 3 of our 4 favorite, like.
I love the
his favorite soundtrack, but not his favorite film. So
I don't buy that. Full disclosure, Leonardo DiCaprio is not my favorite actor by any means. He is not in anything that I love.
Uh-huh.
I want to get that out there.
That's one of us.
He did some movies when he was a teenager, and
Yeah.
there was some drama in those movies.
Gilbert Grape?
Yeah. So
There you go.
obviously
Thanks.
Inception's my
I guess.
pick, but I will say here's my quick thought on this whole month is that outside of I think my movie, I think that Leo doesn't feel like the main leading man in any one of our other movies. That
Anything.
these ones like he does for Inception,
In
and
our
this one's
picks.
that. Yeah, and your guys' picks,
Agreed.
he doesn't feel like that he's like the leading dude. on
You
it.
you would say that he's technically the lead character, but he doesn't get as much time as he does in Inception to actually be that true lead.
Right, right.
Agreed.
Think about Django. He's not it in Django.
Yeah, well,
He's not it in.
He
like I said, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
steals the show in that movie, though. That's my favorite performance.
Yeah,
by
but
him.
it's all
It's
Jamie
Django.
Foxx. Like
back on track. Back on track. All right, so you're gonna pick The Departed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's,
Okay.
it's definitely going to be The Departed.
Yeah.
I loved that movie. I loved it for a long time. Ever since I saw it back in high school, I've always loved that movie. I'm not going to rehash everything. Don't need to. But if I did pick second, and I'm not going to say like it was close. Like The Departed's way up here, and I probably still put Inception as second.
Yeah.
Because definitely not going to be The Great Gatsby. Gangs
don't
of New York,
blame you.
definitely not Gang. So definitely going to be Inception.
Nothing even comes close to Inception.
All
on mine.
right.
There's no second.
It's
So
time for the decider.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's he got?
So this is a loaded answer here, but I'm actually gonna give it to Gangs of New York.
You gave The Departed a higher score. That
I
makes no
gave
sense.
8s to both of you guys' movies.
Uh-huh.
I have seen both of you guys' movies 2 to 4 times
What?
each. I am so sorry, but this was the first time I watched it, and I genuinely enjoyed it.
Like, I'm fine if you would have picked Inception. It's just you gave the
no,
higher
no.
score.
Yeah, but by 0.5.
But it's so close, and to his point,
It's a novel experience.
It is.
he got the new, fresh experience
I
from
did.
it. And it's going to be a movie that has that rewatchability factor to it, which
Also,
tends
yes,
to be a big edge.
When
for
I
most
watched
I'm not upset about
watched
I am.
Inception, I had to sit there and kind of take notes. Like I had to sit there and sort of pick it apart because I've seen it so many times. I felt like it was kind of like homework. Not that it's a bad movie, but same thing with The Departed. I had to kind of sit there and say, okay, what's wrong with this movie? I got to sort of just enjoy Gangs of New York for what it was. I picked a couple things up along the way that I could probably change. Sure, it was a little bit long, but was it as long as The Irishman or some of these tales that I was being told of how long this movie actually is? Didn't feel like it. I loved Gangs of New York just because
I'm not upset by this.
I am.
Because
I'm
you're
really-
outraged at anything I
need,
pick up.
That's true.
I need to talk.
No, because
That's camera. I'm like roughed up.
It's just
afterwards.
you have Inception t-shirt that's just ripped
I
off.
look,
You're
I look
wearing.
like Pigpen from
Yeah.
whatever that show is.
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown.
So
Peanuts.
here's my thoughts on this one and why I'm not upset. Because it was very high risk, high reward for you. It was the first time you'd seen the movie, so that was totally going to go way in right field or
it
way
could
left
have been
field.
way, yeah.
So because it was the first time experience and viewing on it, I think rationality's fine. Like, yeah, sure, even if you rate it lower on the score stuff, which would be my only complaint. He's going to complain more about it here in a second. I would say that because that fresh experience comes into it, this is a new movie that you enjoy. That's, man, as you get older, you just appreciate those.
Yeah,
more. Like,
it's like a diamond in the rough. You know,
Yeah.
you found a cool uncut gem. By the way, you need to watch that.
yeah. it's on
Oh,
the list.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix now.
Also, normally
It's on Netflix?
with
Yeah.
8s,
Oh, that's neat.
with anything that I give it an 8, I always suggest that movie to most people. This movie's gonna be tough for me to sit there and suggest.
But it's not his
to
pick!
It's just, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead, plead your case.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, make-
I don't understand, like, every movie, like, we picked, like, especially with the Leo month, you have
Okay,
said...
that was one month.
No, you've said, like, I've seen it before, it's nothing new. I'm not going to pick Shutter Island, because I've seen it before, I know the twist.
That's a shock factor.
I don't understand why the novel experience of watching a movie has to be that important, because
It absolutely
if it's a
is.
good movie, it will hold up through multiple viewings because you just enjoy the movie, you know you're going to enjoy it, you could look at other things, there's other stuff to look at. I just don't understand, like, the new factor, I think, shouldn't be...
The new factor is a
The
lot
power
for
of new
me.
factor
See,
is
it's
for
not-
real.
it's not for
Recency
me.
bias, too.
So,
Okay, well,
we
I
recently
don't
just
see
watched The Irishman. That's why I keep bringing it up.
Y'all did.
Price just told me a couple days ago that he would not rewatch The Irishman ever again. But he claims that it is a fantastic movie.
I never said that.
I
That
heard him
was
say
good.
that.
No,
I
I
heard
said
him
it was
say
a
that.
good movie. I never said fantastic. I would probably give it like a 6.5.
So let's say we picked
Probably.
a lot of Robert De Niro films.
Can we
What
not?
about it?
I know. Please,
Can
I'm
we
tired
not?
of those months, period. But if we had picked a lot of those, The Irishman potentially could win if you enjoyed it enough and it was your first watch. Would you
not
ever
for
watch it
me.
again? Hell no.
No.
It's possible.
I would watch maybe the last hour again. That's about it.
That's the part that you cut out.
Yeah.
It's off. It's like $1 Million Baby. You can shave off the last 45 minutes, and you're better for it.
All right. So without further ado, guys, that's our review of Gangs of New York. If you think that Mason just robbed the month away from Inception below, hit those comments and tell us
Or
what
The
you think.
Departed, we tied.
Or The Departed.
Or if you think he made a perfully sound decision, that you completely
8,
respect.
7 and a
Jill
half.
gives 17 likes. Yes,
Jill's
yes.
like, yes. Yeah, tell us what if you guys have watched all 4 movies, what do you think is your favorite movie out of this month? Who do you agree with more? Give us a comment below. Hit the like if you liked our content. Hit that subscribe button so you know when we're putting stuff on, because we've been a little bit more active on putting that on. I've got to get him to log back into our YouTube account so you can check in next week or maybe later to see if we have those videos in.
That was a great YouTube sign off. That's like every YouTube video.
Too
I've
bad
watched
we're not
like,
done yet.
Award-winning
Not
podcast
quite.
host, guys. But one last thing before we
Yeah,
go,
he is.
we've got a little announcement for this coming month. This next coming month, we decided to get a little interesting and wacky with it.
Wacky.
And we wanted to say, all right, we're going to pick one of us, and then we're going to pick movies that we think that this person's really going to love. Now, that one rule to that is that person cannot have seen it. This month coming up is my month. So I don't get to pick a movie, but they get to pick movies for me.
Yes.
So they get to pick movies that they think I'm going to really love, but I cannot have seen it. So if you're wondering what the format structure it is, we're just getting crazy this year. We have no structure. We're never going to pick
Crazy.
another regular movie again.
2020, I don't know what's going to happen.
It's a theme party every video now, guys.
We thought there was going to be a world war back in January. Like, we're just
Yeah.
going all
Yeah.
out.
So
Yeah.
without further ado, Mason, the movie for next week is...
Next week, I'm picking Brothers. It's got Tobey Maguire, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Natalie Portman.
You haven't seen that, right?
Nope, haven't seen it.
All right.
And I think we're still going to try to stay true to our 2 people can't have seen it,
No.
especially.
We can't do that.
Well, I think it is mostly just that.
I think it's
It's-
more important for the
you think?
person.
It's just the
Whoever
person.
we're lobbing the ball at, we don't want
That
them to have
person.
seen
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Seen it.
that person's more important than
Yeah.
anybody, I think, on that one.
Okay. So yeah, that's my movie.
I just want to shut Mason down.
And I've not seen it either. So.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
At least I'm staying legal.
So it's staying relevant as we get into February. I don't know if this will drop in February, but as we get into February, these men try to win my heart. Stay tuned for next week, guys, and see if they get it. We'll see you then.
We should bring a rose.
Bye.
Oh,
Bye,
yeah.
guys.
Like a bachelor?
God.
And Dylan
It
would
is
give a
bachelor
rose, too.
season.
There you go.
Yeah.
And today my rose goes to...
Caesar.
Oh.
Oh.